Hi everyone. It's been a little bit since I talked to all you last time. How y'all doing? Uh, well, I generally don't make too many videos. I only make videos basically when I one have the time in my very busy life, and two when I think I have something either fun, interesting, or important to share. And I'm gonna say today's video that I'm making falls into the last category of importance because okay, so little life updates. I bought a new car. I bought a Ford Crown Victoria, police interceptor, an old cop car. And man, I've wanted one of these since I was a kid. My first car ever was actually going to be a old SRO or school resource officers retired car. Uh, was gonna pick it up when I was 16 for like 2,500 bucks. Back when these cars were still somewhat uh cheap, you know. Uh, it's here. I'll even show a little picture for you, just to give you a flavor. I posted it on Reddit. I know this is a little bit out of the ordinary. I usually do a little more effort in editing, but honestly, I don't really care today. I'm far too busy today to actually try to put any real effort in. So there's my post. Anyway, there we go. There's my car. Whoa, look at that. Took that in downtown Pittsburgh for a little day trip I did with another buddy of mine. There's my car. There's a little police interceptor badge. Got the tinted windows all the way around, the cop tint from the factory, or if it's not factory, it's whatever the department had on it. You got the little cutouts for the old third brake light style police lights of the red and blue. If you remember those back from the late 90s to early 2000s, actually, I think they even go back as far as like the 80s, they had those. But they definitely had them. They were popular in the late 90s, early 2000s, the CVPIs. If you remember those, you're definitely an OG. Uh, Yeah, so it's got the old cop tints, got the nice sun visors. It's actually got a spotlight still in the front. I think you barely just see it right through there is my spotlight. And I got a police center console still in it. That was given to me from the guy I bought it from, which was he's a uh, lieutenant with one of the local fire departments, and this was his personal car, uh, which he bought it from the U.S. Park Police. It was a supervisor vehicle for the the icon protection unit for the DC division of the U.S. Park Police. So basically, its job was to go from uh, the division's job was to protect all the different memorials and monuments in Washington D.C. But that's usually actually a motorcycle division. Whereas UK, why do you have why would the Crown Vic be part of a motorcycle division? Well, because the supervisors, for the most part, weren't out on the road. They were, in the office or whatnot. So if you ever had a supervisor call, you call down the old Crown Victoria. So this car had a decent chunk of miles on it, 160 something. It's now say I think almost 162 something. Um, so she's got some. She's old. It's a 2005. It's almost 20 years old. Uh, and it's yeah. I got some work to do on it. It's actually part of my hubcap came off of this picture, so I have a new one. I'm gonna put that on. I'll take a new picture with it. Uh, and that's my school parking permit, by the way. Uh, for my college, because they require either on the window or the bumper. So now I'll take that off whenever I done completely. So I'll just have a clean bumper again. But I love this car. It's I bought it cheap. I was actually able to find one of these cheap. Funny enough, it's hard to find that anymore. But God bless Facebook Marketplace, I guess. She's got some work, as I said. Main issue right now is it's got some decent amount of rust on the rocker panels. I gotta take the actual panel covers off, which are like right under the door, just actually see how bad it is. Which and part of the pinch welds near the end, especially here, because I had to jack it up, because I blew a tire on the highway on my way back to college. Uh, Part of that I tried to jack because I never owned one of these cars. I tried to jack it up from the pinch wells like a unibody car, and it just collapsed in from the corrosion. That's also not where you're supposed to jack these cars anyway. You're supposed to jack it directly on the frame. Uh, a little life lesson. So I'm gonna have to go and cut and do some welding and work over the summer to get that fixed. If this was a unibody car, I would have had to probably take it to the scrapyard at this point because that's where the structural integrity of these cars are. However, thankfully, these old Crown Vics are like trucks. They're body on frame. That's not where the structural integrity is. So basically, car's fine. Actual frame itself is in pretty good condition. It's got like a hint of surface rust near one of the back tire areas. It's so small, and I'll fix that over the summer with some sanding and some POR 15. Nothing, no big deal. I've seen much worse cars out on the road, especially living out here in the Pittsburgh area for 3 years now. I can 100% say I've seen way worse cars on the road. And so I'm actually pretty happy with the purchase. Paid about 3 grand for it. But why am I talking about this? Well, because getting into the used police car market, uh, if you're anywhere in this field, and close this out for you guys. Actually, I'll keep it open just for reference. I'll keep the picture open. Close this. Go back to this. If you know anything about the used car market, you know about this guy, Mr. Random Reviews. Uh, Apparently, he used to be a police officer. He had it in one of his videos here. I'll see if I can find the picture. It was in his Tahoe review. So let's see here. Tahoe. There you go. Before you watch this,
Never go to a car wash
ads,
again.
ads.
I haven't had a car wash since I bought this for S.
Yeah,
All right, here we go. Here we go.
right there. Okay, where is your picture, sir? There he is. Anyway, sorry, got a little bit of a sore throat. The weather's just going all over the place right now. But he was in the Waskowski police, I guess. There's Mr. Random. He was a canine officer. That was his car. But more so, he's known now as Mr. Random, who does reviews and videos solely on retired police cars and owning them, which I think is pretty cool. I'm all for that. However, there's a line, you have to walk with these cars because there's a difference between owning them because they're cool, and also there's three reasons why you buy a retired police car. There is option one, it was cheap. It's a government fleet auction vehicle. They're selling it for dirt cheap because guess what? They abused the hell out of it, and they didn't want it. So it's your problem now, bud. But guess what? For the most part, actually, a lot of the police cars, you can fix up decently well. Like that's the one nice thing is they're not hard to work on. You can find plenty of parts for them because of both the fleet sales, the massive fleet sales for them, like the Crown Vic, but also because a lot of the civilian cars were also manufactured. Like again, with if we're sticking with the Crown Vic, you had the Lincoln Town Car, the Mercury Grand Marquis, you had the Mercury Marauder for some of that high end stuff, but a lot of those parts were all swappable on those cars because Ford just loves churning out and using the same parts for everything. Same thing with Chevy. Like any early 2000, like 2000s Chevy to early 2010s. If you've owned one, like basically uh you go and you look, oh, that turn signal's like on every single car, that ignition's on every single car, because they parts a lot of American manufacturers just parts bin a lot of their cars to save costs. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think it needs to be any special. I just find it funny when you like get into something nice like a Mustang or a Camaro, or hell, even a Corvette or like a Hellcat, one of these high end performance cars, and then you go, hey, that's you know, that ignition system right there. It's the same one off of like an F-150. It's funny. But anyway, so yeah, there's so three things. So one, you got them really cheap, which for me that was part of the reason why I bought it. Uh, I needed a. I went from a. I'm currently selling it still, but I went from a new-ish Ford F-150, 2019, and I'm going down to a 2005 Crown Vic, because of just simply it's too much. It's costing me too much to live with the F-150 right now, and with gas, with insurance. Insurance is nuts for it. Even though it's a work truck, and these costs of these new trucks is just insane. I had paid $36,000 for effectively when I got it, like a 3 to 4 year old vehicle. That was a baseline work truck. The only thing that made it special was the fact that it had uh, the 5 liter, the Coyote in it. So one of the higher end option motors, not the highest end, wasn't the twin turbo V6 3.5 EcoBoost. No, it was just the 5 liter. It had a long bed, quote unquote. It's a 6.5 foot, and it had a crew cab. But everything else was plain Jane. It had a column shifter. It had bench seats. It had crappy vinyl interior. It was not nice. Rarely speaking, I like to say, "Oh, it's a nice truck." It's like, no, it wasn't. It was a work truck. It was used as a construction truck in Canada. That's where it originally was when I before I bought it, in Ontario. But yeah, so I went down to the Crown Vic because I wanted something cheap, both for effectively buying it. I paid, again, around 3 grand for my Crown Vic, and also, you know, these cars are just tanks. They're easy to work on, super super easy. Tons of parts available for them, because they were just fleet vehicles everywhere. They're getting a little harder now because the newest one is now well, it's 13 years old now. The newest one's 2011. So it's kind of crazy that these things that were such an icon, my childhood, a lot of people's childhoods, when you saw one of these roll through, you knew it was the cops. You saw the headlights or these taillights. That's all you needed. And yet now they're moving closer and closer, further away. They're dinosaurs. They're relics of a different era. Most departments have retired these now for about, you know anywhere between 3 to 7 years ago is generally the time frame saw where most of these were retired. Some departments retired them immediately, soon as when they went out of production, to switch over to things like the Charger or the Explorer or the Tahoe. Uh, but a lot of departments hung on to these. Mine was retired in 2022, actually, so took a long time for it to get out of service. Simply because, one, it was a federal car. Two, it was a special service car, so it was not an active patrol car that was just getting beat on daily. Just a hard life. So it actually got a little bit of a nicer treatment, though it did sit for a while. Effectively, it was retired back in 2018, but it was brought back into service in 2020 because of if you guys remember, the chip shortage that year. New cars really, they had a hard time manufacturing, so a lot of government agencies pulled out their old relics basically from the fleet yards. So they were Crown Victorias or Dodge Chargers or Tahoes, older Explorers. They pulled them back out of the retirement home basically and put them back into service for some years until they can get new cars. And that's what uh, the park police did. for mine before they sold in 22. But anyway, so yes, three things. They're cheap. You just love these cars, for the car aspect of them. And I do. I actually really like the Crown Victoria. I mean, I personally want to own at some point a Mercury Marauder because I think that's a really cool car. It's got the four valve, four modular V8s, the 4.6 that came in either the Mustang Mach 1 of those years or came in the uh, where else did it come in? It technically also came in the SVT Cobras, the Terminators, but that was a supercharged version. It was beefed up a bit, but the four valve was just a fun engine, a lot of horsepower. It's basically a tuned up Crown Vic. So these old dinosaurs here, there's Mr. Regular's view on it. That's the 2000s, even older than mine. These old dinosaurs, even though it's got the dual exhaust, it's got the upgraded high flow heads, and it even has the intake from the Marauder. Uh, they got these in that intake in 2004. Uh, it still only makes 250 horsepower, which for 2005, it's not exactly bad. The Mustang of the year previous, because in 2005 the SN95 got phased out, the new Edge got phased out with the S197, the new generation with the three valve 4.6, which made like 300 something horsepower versus the Mustang made I think 260, 270s, 260. It was a little more than the Crown Vic. Because even though it had all the extra high performance parts from borrowed from the Mustang and the Marauder, these cars were still technically detuned a little bit for police service, for reliability and longevity. It makes sense. These things you see everywhere. You saw them well after their time of service. As like taxi cabs or as other fleet vehicles running like 400,000 miles plus. Like so, reality. That's why I'm not too worried about mine being 160. I have a feeling I'm gonna try to take care of it real good. Keep her going. I'm hoping to get above 300,000 on it. Keep her going for a long time. Anyway, sorry. Get back on topic. I'm rambling for a little bit because I'm passionate about these things. That's why I'm making a video. Yeah. So you buy these cars because they're cheap. You buy them because you like the car aspect of them, like I did with the Crown Vic, or the third one, which is the dangerous aspect, is well, to put it in the words of Mr. Regular here, it's because you want to look like a cop. It's because you want to look like a cop. It's because you want to look like a cop. You like it. 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 Authority. My raging boner of authority. Oh, 2004 Crown Victoria for the guy who carries to his cousin's bar mitzvah. I love that line. But yeah, there's a huge chunk of these people that buy these old retired cop cars because they want to look like cops. And even though Mr. Random apparently was a cop, I think he falls into the last category. But let's watch this video on the real reason we buy used cop cars and why you secretly wish you did too. Well, Mr. Random, I bought one. I bought a cop car. I even have the old keys from it, the old keychain where it was a fleet vehicle. I have the old tag on it. I got a police console. I got all the old goodies in it still. So I know now. I have it. I have one. So tell me, Mr. Regular, or not Mr. Regular, Mr. Random, why do we buy these used cop cars?
What do Army Jeeps, H1 Hummers, DeLoreans, Fast and Furious cars, 60s Mustang fastbacks, 1950s Cadillac ambulance, and Ford Falcons all have in common with a Crown Victoria? Well, sit tight, boys and girls, because today we're going to look into why so many people are obsessed with buying, restoring, and decking out old cop cars. And also with myself
There's Mr.
being a
Random.
habitual old cop car buyer myself, you guys will get an inside scoop into the mind of what some of you might consider a quote unquote whacker. When in reality, we're all just another subsection of car enthusiasts like everyone else in car culture. Now, for those of
pause. Um, no, no, you're not. uh, the difference between, as always, talk about like in the beginning, from like all the different movie cars that you saw, and buying and restoring old cop cars, and as he quote unquote said, decking out, is that having a replica of like Eleanor or replica of Echo One or any of those is not gonna end up having you catch a felony. Oh my god! Like you gotta understand, there's a massive, absolute massive difference, and he does talk about a little bit at the end, but there's a huge difference in a quote unquote replica of one of a movie car, which is strictly everybody can identify as, oh yeah, that's a movie car, and then a replica quote unquote police car where people go, huh, is that actually a real car? Because you're not replica from a movie, you're replicating a real thing, and that real thing has authority, it has power behind it, enough so that you know it's not the same, and that's where I differentiate between this. See, mine, yes, has spots for police lights where it once had. These used to flash. All of these used to flash. Had lights and sirens and everything in it. I will personally never put back in the equipment unless I am authorized to by my department. A little side note: I am not a law enforcement officer. I do not have a badge. I am not sworn in. I say that because I'm currently in the process of an application process into the field, into the different departments, and I'm in the process of getting my criminal justice degree. So I'm not a sworn officer yet. You know, even if I was, unless, because state law says yes, you can put it in, but even then, unless my department said absolutely you can put lights in your personal car, I won't do it because it's a huge liability. Like your insurance company will hate you for it because and the department itself will hate you for it because unless you're approved to do it, because the amount of risk involved of having your own officers put emergency equipment into their own personal cars instead of the department regulated ones is so much worse because with the department regulated ones, you at least have somewhat control over that. You have safety standards that those cars are heated. They're inspected, they're checked, they're maintained. Whereas somebody's, fucking Officer Bob over here with his, you know, uh, old Crown Vic like I have here, and he throws lights and sirens in it, and he's pulling people over in his personal car. That's a big no-no. You don't do that, Officer Bob. Like when you're off duty and everything. And the only reason I would ever want to put lights and sirens back in my car, well, it is cool. I'm not denying that aspect of it. Simply, that would be really just wrong and hypocritical of me to say that. I absolutely, that's having lights and sirens and all the cool, wee woos, all that's very fun and very tempting to use. And that's the problem, is it's tempting to misuse it. I would only ever want to have it in there for official purposes of, okay, I'm out late at night and someone has a breakdown or something happens on the road and I need to help somebody. I can turn on my lights to help give me some more visibility on the road and also try to help alert drivers to slow down and move over, even though nobody does anyway because everybody's assholes. Uh, that would be the reason number one. Or reason number two, if I have to get to work because of an emergency. I get called in late at night outside my normal working hours because there's an emergency callback, and I've been told by my supervisor, respond as fast as you can. I'm absolutely gonna throw on my lights and siren. I'm gonna race there running code. You know, Other than that, I'm not pulling people over in my personal car. I mean, I'll be doing that enough, on shift. Why do I want to bring my work home with me? That sucks. I don't like that. Other than that, yeah, I'm not having lights and sirens in my personal car, and I don't think really anybody else should, unless they for those specific reasons. Um, simply because it's just so easy to abuse it. But yeah, getting back to it, there's such a huge difference, and I think it needs to be important to recognize that.
Of you who want the too long didn't watch version of this video, okay, why do people buy old cop cars and make them look like cop cars? Well,
See, okay, that's okay right there. Spotlight, push bar. Not a fan of the Punisher logo personally, but this one is the blue line. That's all perfectly legal. That is fine. That is not police impersonation.
the same reason people buy old H1
That's
Hummers
all
and make them
fine.
look like
The cage is a little much in
Operation
my opinion,
Iraqi
but that's
frickin'
okay.
Freedom
Caution cannon,
Humvees,
that's a
or
little
turn a
much. This is actually kind of cool. I actually kind of like this. The bike rack on the back. I'm all for that. Go
stock
for it.
DeLorean into a time machine. It's called making a replica.
No, 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 no. There's a big difference between a time machine, a time machine DeLorean from Back to the Future replica, and a replica cop car, as we discussed earlier. Uh, one is not gonna make people uh think that an actual law enforcement officer is pursuing them, or not pursuing them, but rather actively making them pull over. Because even if you don't use the lights and sirens on the road, if you have those in your car, which, by the way, for most states is highly illegal. It's a felony. Uh, in some states you can get away with it by just not using it on the road, but certain states like my state, if you even have them in the car, and you better hope you don't ever get pulled over, because if they cop sees you with those, he's pulling you out and he's throwing you in the back of a real cop car for police impersonation. Like, it's a major felony. No, no, don't do it. But yeah, that's the big difference. Is one is not going to make people think you are actually a cop. One's just going to be like, oh, that's just a cool thing for shows, you know. And there's exceptions to this rule, actually. There's exceptions to the rule about uh, replica cop cars, and that is historical police vehicles. And by historical, I mean antique ones. Like, depending on the state laws, usually it's about 25 to 30 years old. My state is 25, but I would say give it about 30 years. Basically, something that you would actually see those kind of old cars rolling up at like classic car shows, you know, uh, something like a Dodge Polara, Blue Brothers, a Blues Brothers mobile kind of thing, or a Ford Fox body Mustang, like one of the old ones with like CHP or Florida Highway Patrol used to run, or one of the old Chevy Caprices from the 80s, the old square, or the Ford LTDs, something that you would not see on the road these days, and people would not ever like misconstrue it as a police car, because their cops are. You could literally have it fully marked. You can have lights and sirens, and as long as you're not, of course, using those on the road, police aren't gonna mess with you, because they know that Grandpa over here in his Ford LTD is, or the old Dodge Polara from like Smoking and Bandit is uh clearly going to some car show. He's not trying to impersonate police. Whereas if you see like one of these, even one of these older Crown Vics, the people are gonna still think it's a cop car. Hell, I still get the Crown Vic effect, and that's almost a 20-year-old car. You know, a lot of these cars have been out of service now for a bit, but even then, I still wouldn't mount up equipment in it until maybe like 2030, where they've been out for a long time now, and people really would never see these cars out. and don't expect to think, oh, it's a cop. Uh, those are the exceptions basically. Is one are like movie car style ones where you people would never expect to be cop cars. Modern ones, no, you can't do that. It's not okay.
A clone. And the same applies to bringing back an old, outdated cop car.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, dude. One is for fun, the other one's a felony. There's a big difference. I'm sorry, I'm stopping this video all the time, but this is a bit of a like a director's commentary track here. I think it's important to talk about this stuff.
To its former glory days. There is, however,
Like, whoa, illegal. Like, fine, fine. A little uh whacker, my opinion. And whacker's a term that police car communities use for people who like to impersonate police, basically. It's a little much in my opinion, little much. Illegal, 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 100% illegal, 1000%. And yes, you go, oh well, it's orange and whites. It's not illegal. Shut the fuck up. You're not gonna be able to tell the difference from if you can't tell you're not gonna be able to tell the difference from like 500 to a good distance bit away. If you see this thing barreling down the road with its lights, and I bet he has a siren in there too, you're 100% moving out of the way. You're pulling over because you think it's a cop. It's not until you get closer because it's that weird orange tint where it looks almost red, especially behind the like even okay. It depends on this. Okay, let me preference. Let me backtrack a little bit. It depends on the state law, but even if it's not illegal, like even if the state allows you to run orange and whites on your car, that's not an authorized vehicle. Like my state again requires if you're going to run those kind of orange and white lights, the only vehicles that can run it are tow trucks or construction vehicles, and they have to be approved by the I can't remember. It's like the DMV or it's something they have to go through an approval process basically to say yes, you're officially a work vehicle. You're not a personal vehicle. Like Danny here can't fucking run these on his F-150 that he just has back home because he thinks it looks cool. No, can't do that. But even if it's not illegal, my point is everybody's still gonna think you're a cop until they get way close up, and everybody is going to hate you. The cops will hate you. The local cops will hate you. The other drivers on the road will hate you. The your neighbors are gonna hate you. Like it's giving the vibes, of like a dude in like a kid in like JROTC. That goes like, "Don't thank me for my service. Yeah, I did so much work. I'm in the military." So shut the fuck up, kid. No, you're not. Hell, what I was even saying earlier about the fact that when I said I was like, oh, in the application processes, and I do that also to insinuate on the same line of like the what the JRO not be that kind of JROTC style kid that makes everybody thank me for my fucking service. No, I don't do that. I'm not a cop, and you're not a cop either. You know what it reminds me of? It's like the hall monitors in middle school, like the kids that were so bullied in school, and now they're on the fucking ego power trip, like bend over, respect my authority, respect my authority. I'm doing real God's work. It's so powerful. Like No, no, no reasonable person wants this. No. Anyway.
However, a dangerous side to this hobby, and that's something I'll be covering as well in this video. So, to cover,
Oh,
and
oh,
that's
hold
something I'll
on,
be
hold on.
covering as well in this video.
No! Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, yeah, no, we went from like questionable in legality to 100% illegal. I think it was actually better shown here in the beginning
We're
when we
gonna
had it on.
look into why so many people are obsessed with buying, restoring,
There we go. Red lights. No, we went from questionable legality, which is Florida. Florida law. I don't know Florida law. I don't live there. I'm not studying Florida law because I'm not trying to be a cop in Florida. But I 100% know that it is not legal in any state to have flashing red lights unless you are an authorized emergency vehicle. So that means police, fire, EMS. Uh, in Missouri, that's even like a tow truck. It counts as an emergency vehicle when working as a government contracted company because Missouri's weird and inbred. I don't know, but I 100% know that you, sir, are not an authorized emergency vehicle. You can't have this. This is now you're going to jail. You are going to jail. Like, like even with the Ambers, it was already questionable. If I was a cop, right, and I see this cop car, I see the numbers, I see the American flag, but then I see the light bar, I see the things, I see all this stuff. I'm gonna go, okay, what department is that? Like, I'm already thinking about pulling this guy over. My PC, police impersonation. Like, I already my I have PC because of the light bar and everything to pull you over if I'm a cop. You fall on those fucking red lights, I'm like, nope, straight to jail. Believe it or not, straight to jail. Yeah, nasty.
so to
Okay, this is okay. This is acceptable. It's a little bit on maybe a little much, in my opinion, with the push bumper. I don't think people need push bumpers. Except if you're like working on a cattle ranch or whatnot, or working at like a really heavy deer area, then these are actually really nice and useful. But this is 100% legal. This is like my car, except I don't have a push bumper because I'm not gay. Uh, but I got a spotlight. This is all black with a white roof. Mine's all white. It's got the old cop steelies. This is okay. This is acceptable. Let's hear what he's saying again.
and that's something I'll be covering as well in this video. So, to cover the first question of why people buy up used cop cars, it's actually pretty simple. They're cheap, although that is
Some are. Unfortunately, channels like Mr. Randoms have exponentially increased the cost of these cars. Like, I remember back when I was like a teenager, first looking for these cars, you could find a Crown Victoria, a retired one, for like 500 bucks, 1,000 bucks, 1,500, or like the one I was gonna buy, which was a nice one, for 2,500 bucks. Now you have a hard time finding them for like under 5 grand.
slowly becoming a thing of the past. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
They're reliable, but wait a minute.
Uh, ish. Reliable ish. Depends on the model. And also depends on if it was a patrol car or not. If it's a Vic, you're fine. Fine ish. They're still going to be under decent amount of abuse. Especially with the transmission. These, oh man, any cop car, no matter what make, model, whatever, transmission is going to be probably shot at the end of its life when it's retired. If it's any of these newer ones, if it's like a Charger, if it's a Explorer like his one here, if it's a Tahoe, good luck. You're probably gonna have to put some money into it. Put some time and money into it because these cars sit idling for long periods of time. The Dodges, in particular, have a a, a problem with it. The 5.7 Hemis, when they sit idling for extended periods of time, their oil pumps just don't make enough pressure to splash up all the way to the lifters. So that's why you get the famous Hemi tick. So that's why if you buy a used Charger, you gotta be careful. Uh, you're most likely be in for an engine rebuild, and for like as I said, most of these you're gonna be in for a new transmission. That's just the way it goes. Let's see what he says about reliable.
Is slowly becoming a thing of the past. I'm not gonna lie. They're reliable, but wait a minute. Wait a minute. Some of you are probably saying, "Hey, hey, don't cops abuse the hell out of their squad cars?" Eh, actually, no.
Bullshit. Bullshit. No, they 100% do. Maybe the occasional one doesn't, but majority of cops, and I've experienced this, man. I've been on a number of ride-alongs now, uh, as part of my application process and part of my CRJ degree studying. These cars are nothing but tools to them, as with most other government agencies. They're used and abused, and they're thrown away when they're done. Uh, the they're not treated nicely, and even if the cop tries to treat it nicely, if they're a patrol car, regardless, they're gonna be abused far worse than any civilian car, far worse than your daily driver Civic or Corolla or your Suburban if you're like that soccer mom, because they sit idling for effectively years on the motor, uh, just sitting in parking lots or on the side of the highway, idling, 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 and that puts a lot of effectively hidden miles on these engines. Uh, Car could only have maybe 90,000 miles by the time it's retirement, but effectively it could have closer to 200,000 because it's sat idle for so long. Like, why do cops idle? It's because the emergency equipment that's in the cars, like the radio, the computer, the all the systems, they have to be powered. And if you shut off a car, it takes a while for all the systems to reboot. Uh, so if you need to go at like the drop of a call, uh, you can't really. You're gonna have to turn the car back on, wait for it to go through its cycle, and then finally go. Now, some departments do actually shut off their cars, but a lot of them actually, even at the end of their shift, because they don't have like take-home cars, because they don't have a big fleet, uh, they literally just will keep the cars running constantly. Like even at the end of the shift, like they'll have the next shift come in, they'll hand the keys over, car's still running, never been shut. Like it could be running for weeks or months on end, effectively only shutting off for maintenance. So, and that's your best case scenario for the most part. And also these transmissions are beat on, dude. Like how many times cops have to go from a stop or just be hitting the gas, constantly having to get up to speed and chase people and catch up and go calls, respond fast. Effectively, unless it is a special service vehicle, like it's a detective's car, it's a supervisor car, or it's something else that's not going to be seeing the road all the time. These cars are abused, and that is effectively one of the biggest loads of bullshit I heard out of this video when I first watched it. And that I think this is what caused me to actually make a video about it, because that's just straight misinformation that you're spreading, Mr. Random. And I've seen this in a lot of your videos. You make the most clickbaity things, and you make up so many things without fact checking. It, it's honestly embarrassing. Stop trying to sell people on these lies. It's not okay. But let's go back to why he says that cops don't actually abuse these.
No, they don't. And that's all thanks to a little device known as an OBD2 telemetrics reader. And pair that with a constant GPS location and speed monitoring, literally every cop's move related to their vehicle is recorded and stored in a database. I'm not just talking speed here. I'm talking braking pressure, steering wheel tilt, sudden acceleration monitors. The telemetrics are so sophisticated. They can tell a department whether or not an officer had his freaking windshield wipers turned on during a rainstorm, okay? So that myth that police cars are used and abused is a complete load of donkey doo doo.
So you're using the aspect of a telemetrics device that plugs into the OBD2 port that you saw there as the reason that cops don't quote unquote abuse these cars. Well, load, man. I at my job for our commercial delivery vehicles, we have telemetric devices in them. Yes, we monitor the shit out of them because we have to. However, and trust me, if you like even push the gas pedal too hard or anything, or if you hit the brakes too hard, you're actually gonna end up getting a talking to by the boss. Uh, or if you're speeding, God help you. But you know what's different is cops have a lot different job requirements. I- I- Cops routinely have to go well past the speed limit when they're going lights and sirens to a call because they are required to get there much faster. They don't follow traffic laws because when they have those lights and sirens on. Uh, and even if your department is so anal about it, of when you're not driving lights and sirens and code anywhere, and you're supposed to be the goodest boy, driving the speed limit, being nice to the car, and if you dare go over the speed limit or accelerate too fast, or like how we do with my company, that's only again for like a certain part of it. Most departments don't. I mean, on both the ride-alongs I've gone on now, both of the officers, great guys by the way, not faulting them for this, because this is what you're supposed to do really for the job. Is oh yeah, they'd be gunning it from a stop when they had to go, or they'd be driving rough, or cutting through corners fast, or slamming on the brakes, or because again, that's what the job requires. It's very very different. Cops do not treat these cars nice. And again, even if you have the most anal departments that will get on you for driving the least bit unsafe or whatever for telemetrics, one, you're going to be sitting and idling a ton. That's putting strain on the car regardless. And two, once those lights and sirens come on from a call or a pursuit or a traffic stop or anything, uh, all bets are off, man. You're required to get there as fast as you can now. You do not be nice to the car. Because you get on it. You beat the car to get it to go. So that is quite a load. I'll be honest. That no. I do your own research, man. Mr. Random, I mean, if you actually were a cop, from that picture, were you always nice to your Tahoe? Did you sit let it idle for hours on end? Did you chirp the tires taking off? Did you slam the brakes on? Did you turn hard? Did you ever have to turn the lights and sirens and go hard on the car? I've even seen videos on your channels where you're doing drag races with your retired cars, and that's all fine and good. But in reality, that is still technically abusing the car, and doing it, as on a civilian car, every so often, that's fine. But cops are often doing this like every day on these cars, and that's where the abuse comes in. Like, God, man, you're really sounding dumb here. Not gonna lie.
Police departments spend thousands and thousands making sure that their officers' patrol cars receive the best maintenance that money can buy. Well, that
Okay, some, some do, some, some spend the time, the money, hire good mechanics, actually do routine and good maintenance on. But there's for every department that does do that, there's gonna be one to two of them for every that one that does, one to two that will not. That will absolutely let these cars rot away, let them just destroy themselves, and because again, to the department, because most officers, most administrators, all of the stuff aren't car guys. They're not. They are, to them, again, they are tools. They are replaceable tools. Where, okay, the car breaks down, cool, send it off to the shop. If the shop can't fix it, you know, okay, well, we scrap the car, get a new one. Simple as that. And where there's a lot of things where, okay, we should be doing an oil change right now, or we should be doing preventive maintenance here and there. A lot of departments won't do it because cutting costs. You're far overreaching with how departments do maintenance. You're generalizing that all these cars are kept immaculately. Hell, even my car wasn't. It sat for several years. That's why it has the rust on the rocker panels. Uh, and it was a federal car. If a federal car can't be kept to those standards, do you think some, podunk little PA backwater Midwest police department is going to be able to have that? No, they have no money. So they just keep cobbling stuff together, keep trying to fix the car, even though they should be doing more maintenance on it. They won't, because guess what? They don't care.
you can buy because we're taxpayers and we're technically paying for it. But yeah, they be dependable. Now,
Some, are, especially more recently. A lot of mm, post 2020, post the pandemic, cop car reliability, overall car reliability in American manufacturing has taken a nosedive. There's one department I know up near Cleveland where they bought a bunch of the new generation Explorers 2020 onwards, and those things are constantly in the shop. Those are constantly having to get maintenance and work on. They're not dependable. They're not reliable. Hell, the cops are complaining about them. Hell, there's the Chargers. Remember what I said about the issues with the 5.7 and idling and eating cams, hemi tick. I've seen so many Chargers and Durangos and a lot of Mopar products in the shop because simply they're unreliable. And you go ask a cop. Go and ask a cop what they think about XYZ police car, and they will give you opinions. My buddy Nick, who works for one of the PDs, one of the big PDs near me, I rode with him uh, a year and something ago, as because that's one of the departments I'm checking out. And he's driven a lot of police cars now. And I asked him, "Hey, what's your thoughts? what cars did you like and which cars did you like? Didn't you like? His favorite was the Ford Taurus. He loved the Taurus. He thought it was, I mean, it was fast as hell. Twin turbo 3.5 EcoBoost with all-wheel drive. That thing was still is one of the fastest police cars on the road ever, and they're really cool cars. However, it had problems. It's not a ton of cover that you can get from the vehicle. So if you ever get into a shooting or something like that, you're in trouble. Uh, he also drove Chargers, but he said those were generally unreliable. He didn't like them. Uh, he also drove Explorers, but he felt they're too fat. They're then doesn't like SUVs, and I hate that we're trending towards SUVs now as the standard in both American manufacturing, like civilian cars and police cars, is the only option. Because that's all you can get now. That's all you can get if you're a police department, a sheriff's office, a highway patrol, state police, whatever. It's SUVs and pickup trucks. And sedans have gone the way of the dodo now. I'm sad by that because I like sedans. But yeah, that was my point. Is only some of them are reliable. You have to do your research. Most reliable cars I've seen are generally going to be the within the last 20 years of policing. So 2000 onward. Uh, it's going to be the Ford Crown Victoria. It's going to be number one reliability of the American police cars. And that's the reason why I bought one. They're like the Corollas of America. Even if something does break, there were several things that broke on those cars, mainly the intake manifolds. It's fixable. It's really easy to fix. Even these Explorers, and I like these generation actually Explorers. Uh, doesn't matter if it has the 3.7 naturally aspirated V6 or if it had the 3.5 twin turbo EcoBoost. Both had similar problems with the internal timing chain with the internal water pump. If that went, you can kiss goodbye the engine because Ford engineering, everybody. And with the EcoBoost, you had more problems. The twin turbos could eat themselves, and that could do some serious damage to the motor with any turbo car. That's what you run into. So you gotta make sure you do careful maintenance on those. So that was both Taurus and both Explorer because they had the same engine. Could run into those, and also with the F-150s, they also have that engine issue as well. But uh, Dodges, as I already talked about, the lifter problems. GM vehicles, the Tahoes, the uh, mainly the Tahoes because they were the ones who had the AFM, active fuel manager silver reactivation. They had lifter problems as well. They're classic. You could, like, if you're a car guy, you know this stuff already. Um, but most reliable vehicles, Vic. Um, I would say the Tahoe if you maintained it. Impala was pretty good. Taurus is pretty good. Explorer if you maintained it, like the 2013 to 2019 model year generation. That was pretty good if you maintained it. Or the Taurus, I think I already said that. Um, the Caprice was actually pretty cool. The 2011, the 2016 model year, the one that was the Holden basically, the one we imported from Australia, which either had the V6 or the 6-liter LS V8. I know it's technically not an LS, but it's basically an LS. That is actually was pretty reliable too. So again, you gotta do your research. Gotta. This is with any car, but especially with fleet vehicles like police cars, which again, there's a reason why on like Carfax reports they actually do mark like, hey, this vehicle was used as a fleet vehicle, meaning it's gonna get more wear and tear than the average car.
Besides being reliable, the best
Ish,
selling point of a
maybe,
retired cop
depends.
car is safety.
That's true.
Car manufacturers spare no expense when it comes to patrol car safety.
Well, again, certain exceptions like the Taurus having poor concealment, uh, and some other I can't remember what the other model there was had bad crash tests, But for the most part, you're right. These actually are pretty safe cars. They have a lot of safety features that regular cars didn't. Uh, I know, for example, the Explorers have really good back reinforcements. So if they get into a rear end collision at, I think it was like 70, they're actually going to be perfectly fine. Or are they? I think they'll crumple up a bit, but it's like a almost like a roll cage in the back underneath the paneling and everything. So that was actually a really cool design from Ford. So props to them for doing that. So safety, 100%. I actually agree with that.
This actually means that retired cop cars come with a plethora
Up there it
of
is. That's what I was talking about. That safety crash bar right there for the Fords Explorers. That actually protects you. If you get hit at high rate of speed, get rear-ended, you're actually going to be pretty safe.
extra safety features that not even their regular civilian counterparts have. I'm talking about fully braced and reinforced rear bumpers and
On the
trunk
Explorer,
areas that are capable of withstanding a direct rear end impact of speeds up
Crown Vic actually had some problems though, uh, with rear-end collisions. Enough so that they actually had to put in, uh, mainly with the gas tank, basically because it was located right there, it would rupture and cause a vehicle fire or possibly an explosion. So that Ford actually had to put in fire suppression units into the rear of their cars, starting in 2005 and onwards. It's an option. I don't know if my car has it or not. I will have to check, but so you gotta be careful again. Don't generalize.
to 75 miles per hour. That added safety isn't just limited to new cop cars either. Hell, even the old Crown Vics were the first sedans built by Ford to receive 5-star crash test safety ratings in every single
And that's illegal. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, red lights, no, no, unless you, sir, are a firefighter or a police officer or anything like that. Can't have that. I hope this is on private property, not on public one.
category. All right, you guys catching on here? So, just looking at it from a normal person's perspective, and by normal I mean a non car enthusiast, you start to
So,
see what
layman's.
makes buying an old cop car so appealing. It's
Sure.
affordable, dependable,
Somewhat,
and
somewhat.
safe. In a herd of
Decent.
sheep, police cars are the sheepdogs. They are the
No!
literal peak of an automobile. And anyone who's ever
No! No, he did not use the Chris Kyle quote. You did not use the Chris Kyle. Oh my god. There's no way you were a cop. No way, dude. Oh my god. I hate that quote so much. It is or maybe you were a cop for only a few years and then kicked out. Because the only people who unironically use that quote are like fucking rookies that think, "Oh, I'm so badass. Oh, I'm the sheepdog. I protect the sheep of the world. Because I'm a cop. I'm not built like the rest. I'm such a badass." They probably have the fucking thin blue line Punisher skull and everything. Oh my god. If you're an actual cop, comment in the comments. Like, give me your perspective on this. Because for me personally, I just hate those guys, man. I really do. They think they're so badass when they really aren't. But in terms of the cop cars being peak of regular cars, no. No, they're not. It's like the term military grade. You know what that really means? Cheapest quality parts to the lowest bidder. That is what cop cars are, man. They're fleet vehicles. They are clearly the civilian cars stripped down to the bare bones with a few extra added features for police work, so like a higher amperage alternator, maybe some bigger brakes, higher uh, gear ratio in the rear. But other than that, it's the bare bones of a cop, or not a cop, of a car. of the model. Like Crown Vic here, this Crown Vic, it's you compare what you get in this P71 versus what you get in like a Lincoln Town Car or a Mercury Grand Marquis, like, or even just the basic civilian Crown Victoria, the LX. It's night and day difference. Like so many of the basic amenities and features that were standard in cars in the 2000s, you don't get in these cars. Like, I don't have keyless entry. I have to stick my key in the door of my car to open it and unlock it. What car in 2005 had that other than fleet cars? The answer is none, man. It's like that was a standard thing since like the 90s. I don't have push start. I don't have a nice radio. I have a basic radio unit, which I actually had to swap out, or the guy before me swapped out because it broke because Ford quality. Basic HVAC controls, like literally just three dials. They're old and manual. Like you don't have option for like recirculation or even on it. Uh, basic door panels, like power adjustable seats. That was most cars didn't have that option. Power adjustable mirrors. That was also an option that a lot of the cars didn't have. Uh, uh, having the interior. Basically, I don't have a carpet. It didn't come with a center console. It didn't come with really anything that a basic car from 2005, like not even a luxury car or anything that these Panther bodies for the civilian models were. Just a basic like a Corolla or Civic from 2005 had more features than my car does. And the reason why they do it is cost cutting. It's to keep the price down so they can sell at bulk fleet value. And also to make sure it's easier to fix. That's basically your two reasons. So no, they're not the ultimate of the cars. Like in reality speaking, a Mercury Grand Marquis or sorry, Mercury I would rather sometimes have a like I still want to keep my cop car just for the coolness factor of it. Again, I'm not denying that, but I honestly would love to have like a Mercury Marauder because that's basically cool with the pinnacle of these Panther platforms. That's a cool as hell car. That's a better car basically than mine in every single way.
Written one or owned one knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sure you've all heard that quote that I'm sure you've all heard that quote from Spider-Man that with great power comes great responsibility.
Illegal, illegal.
Well, nobody moves out of the way for a replica DeLorean.
That's right.
Nobody pulls over for a replica H1 Army
That's right.
Hummer. No, hell,
Illegal. Saw that.
nobody's ever given the right of way and nobody's ever slowed down for a replica Fast and Furious Supra or
That's
Skyline.
right.
But you know what cars do make drivers do all of the above?
Yep.
Yep,
Cop
police
cars.
car replicas.
Because they think they're actual cops. Hence, police impersonation. Like, I don't know why you don't get this. You're literally saying what I'm saying. And you're just going, oh, it's fine. Oh, it's fine. What are you going to be the next Jeremy DeWitt? Don't be that guy. Like, nah, it's not that hard. Don't be that guy. Like, there's a little, and don't get me wrong, there's some fun you can have with your friends, if you have, like, just the stuff that is legal, like have a spotlight, have maybe like a fake antenna on the rear, and, have a little PA system, just go, hey, loser, you know, you suck. On the PA. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just some harmless fun. But then you go throw like lights and sirens and the push bumpers and the roll cages and all that stuff, and then you take it too far. You cross the line into impersonation.
And this is where things take a dangerous turn,
Yes,
where the lines are blurred between
it's not blurred. It's crossed completely. You took a leap and bound over the lines.
enthusiasts, weekend car show replicas, and
No, weekend car show replicas are like 30-year-old cars or older that you can clearly know are for historical purposes.
Full blown police impersonation.
If this is illegal, Megan, illegal, illegal, illegal.
Speaking of impersonation,
Hi, illegal, illegal. No, bad, bad boy. Canine, get it? But it's not hard, dude. Just don't do this. If you okay, if you want to be to make yourself look like a cop so hard that you buy one of these old, it's like Jeremy DeWitt, man. If you want to make yourself look like a cop so bad and act like a cop, go apply. They're dying for people right now. Reality speaking, though, you shouldn't because you make a terrible cop. If you all you care about the job is just you want to look like a cop and have authority, that's no, you shouldn't be doing the job if you're doing that. That's how we get more incidents on social media that cause riots and stuff. You make the rest of the profession look really bad. I'm not even in yet, and I fucking shake my head when I see that stuff because I know what kind of rodeo I'm going into. I've seen it firsthand. It's it's not a nice world. People aren't nice to cops. They really aren't. And it's honestly I can't blame them because there's a lot of people like the Jeremy DeWitts of the world who actually do make it into the police academy that do get a badge and behave like that.
this brings me to my next topic, and that is whackerism. A quote unquote whacker, as it's commonly called in the retired cop car owners community,
Hey, there he is, Jeremy DeWitt. I was just talking about him.
is essentially a police wannabe who
Police wannabe. I prefer the term police impersonator, mainly because that's the actual charge they're gonna get. And yes, I know what he's talking about. There's technically people that don't technically cross into the line of impersonation. They're still kind of on the edge though, and that's where we still call them whackers because and I would say like half the cars I saw in this video that even if they don't have the lights and sirens and stuff, but they have like push bumpers, all tinted windows, all that stuff. In my mind, and you have like a roll cage and you have like K9 on the side, like that's still whackerism to me. You were such and Mr. Random is such a whacker. He really is. Actually, technically, because he has those lights and sirens and all this stuff, he's literally he has a video of how to install a police siren in your car. He's not even a whacker. He's a straight impersonator.
could never make it onto the police force, so they live out their dreams of being law enforcement by completely decking out their retired cop cars with lights and sirens, only to wreak havoc and intimidate and impose their will on unsuspecting drivers.
Perfectly said. So, why do you not hold yourself to that standard, Mr. Random? Why do you not hold your buddies to that standard? That is eloquently said. That's perfectly that is expressed perfectly on why you don't do it. Yet you do it. Why? Why? I don't understand. You clearly have knowledge. You can't just claim that you don't know what you're doing. You do. So stop. Pull back and go do the classic. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Like legitimately, I kind of halfway see Mr. Random end up going to prison for this kind of stuff. I see him being the next Jeremy DeWitt because of his honest fetish for police cars and decking them out in police equipment and retired stuff because he's such a wannabe. Even if he was a real cop, why are you still doing it in retirement, man. Maybe you want to live out the gorgeous. And there's another acceptable term. Another acceptable term for or not term, another acceptable way for you to have this stuff and not be really a whacker slash impersonator is to do this on private property only as kind of like a movie car. Crown Regatta is actually a really good example of this. He owns a ton and he rebuilds police cars. Like uh he actually builds them up proper, but he only has them on his property. He doesn't take them on the road. He doesn't he and he does like little cool skits with his friends or whatnot on his property, like little play pursuits and whatnot, And but it's obviously for show, or if it's like a movie car for like a TV show. But as long as it's done in private property, it's not on the roads, and it's away from the public, there's nothing wrong with that. I would have no issue. The problem is you willingly take your cars and take all your buddies take their cars onto the public streets, and that's where you cross the line. That's where you go from being harmless fun to felony. It's not okay. It really isn't. And I wish you would see that point. Because you obviously understand it. You're going to talk about it. But I guess you don't understand it at the same time, you know?
Now, sure, whackers are a real thing, but
Right there. Illegal. Like, and
drivers,
by right there. Illegal. Like, it's not hard, guys. It's not that complicated. It's not that hard to just go, well, okay, if I'm going to have this kind of stuff on my car, I'm just not going to take it onto public roads. Or if you do take it onto public roads, put a sign on it. It says movie car or not a cop car. Like, put a sign that clearly displays that this is for like a uh, for not this is not an actual car. Actually, that's what the law states. That's how Hollywood does it. That's how the big studios get away with it, with transporting. If they have to transport cars between sets and they can't load it up on like a trailer or something, they'll cover up the light bar if that's one, or they'll put like not a car, not a cop, or they'll put movie car or something like that, where cops will not pull you over then, and people won't think you're cops because they'll usually there's giant letters that say not a cop or movie car on it. Generally dispels any myth of police impersonation. But guess what? You won't do that. You know why? It's because you like it. You like it, don't you? You like the sense of authority, the power. You get hard on it, don't you? Get off to authority. Channeling my Mr. Regular here, but that's really what it is. You like the authority that making you feel like a cop. And that's my problem. You should not have that. You crossed the line. It's not okay. And it honestly kind of pisses me off. Like, regardless, even if I wasn't going to become a cop, it pisses me off because you ruin it for everybody else. You make it worse for literally everyone else.
now, sure, whackers are a real thing, but the whacker disease can infect anyone. There's literally hundreds of examples of regular, non enforcement wannabe people who buy up old cop cars and are overcome with a sudden urge to use the spotlights, sirens, and speakers to prank their friends or mess
Okay, okay, exception there. Spotlights, that's legal. As long as you don't use them on the road, or rather, you don't aim it at other drivers, you're fine. That's just a harmless fun. Siren, illegal. It's not complicated. Don't go putting a police siren in your car unless you're not gonna have it, or if it's just for private roads. Speaker, PA speaker, not illegal. You gotta be careful. Can't use command phrases. Like you can't tell a car to pull over. That's player is impersonation. But you misconstrue the line, man. There's such a difference between playing with a spotlight with your friends. I've done that. I'm guilty of that. 100%. I'll own up to that. Versus turning on a fucking police siren on the road. There's such a difference. It's night and day. You can't compare them.
around with people in traffic. Come on, man. At least once in your life, you've revved at a car meet.
Yeah, because it's not illegal. You're not impersonating someone. You're just revving a car. I don't understand.
At least once, you tried doing donuts or drift around a street light.
Again, you're not trying to impersonate anybody by doing that. Technically, yes, those are still illegal, but they're not felonies. They're not willingly trying to get authority over us. Mm. Did you hit your head as a kid or something? Like, I don't understand. You're comparing apples to oranges, my guy. I don't have a problem with people doing donuts or 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 burnouts or revving the engine or anything like that. Of course, yeah, off the main roads, not in the public area. I have a major issue with takeover culture. I hate that. It's a cancer. Uh, but general car guy things, that's fine. That's fine. You're not trying to impersonate a cop. Like this is fine. This is not trying to. You don't have lights and sirens going. This is cool. It's cool. That's what it is. It's fun. I've done it. I'll admit. Now on public roads, of course, but I've done it. I've revved my engine plenty of times. I'm a car guy. I like that stuff. Mm. Did you catch the stupid? Honestly,
There's no way that you could own a former cop car and not at least once thought of
that's illegal. That's blue lights, man. Oh my god. Or saying right here, pursuit vehicle. I could even argue that's illegal. That's sirens right there. No, no, bad.
way that you could own a former cop car and not at least once thought of pushing that red shiny button. Or
What kind of red shiny button? Are we talking the siren? No, I never willingly will play. First, I'm not putting a fucking siren in my car unless I'm authorized to. Two, I'm not turning it on unless I have to. Because also it draws attention to me, which I'd rather not have. Also,
and not at
hold
least
on.
once thought of pushing that red shiny button or scaring the hell out of your friends.
Okay, that's just
Now,
open impersonation. That's just blatant impersonation at that point. I know it's your buddy in the car, but this is literally a public road. What if there was another driver on the road? What if there was a cop? You're going to jail. You're going to jail. I don't understand how you don't understand how you. Oh, I feel like I'm losing brain cells. This is literally just the. Um, I like cops because it's authority and you go sirens. Hey guys, um, Miss Johnson, Freddie pushed me, and he said all these mean things about you, and uh, you forgot to sign the homework as well. And me. That's what this kid is. Grown up. Like, oh, dude, this is actually pissing me off. Like, It is people like him that ruin this for everyone else. Because now, wherever I go with my car, I once people find out that my car is just a retired police car, it's not in service or anything, I get the fucking dirtiest looks. Like I was trying to pull them over. Like I've had people think that I'm trying to pull them over just by me driving. I don't use the spotlight. I just have my lights on. I'm driving. Yes, there was actually a time today. Yeah, I was tailgating a little bit because I was late. So I was going a little fast, but this lady thought I was literally trying to pull her over. I don't have any equipment mounted in my car. I was late, lady. I wasn't trying to intimidate you. I was really not. Honest to God, I was just. I was not trying to be a police impersonator. I was not trying to get off on authority. I was just trying to live my life. And I bet as soon as she figured out I was not a cop, I bet she was just had that moment of, oh God, it's one of those people. Like, you can't win, man. Can't win. And it's thanks to people like Mr. Random. Honest to God, I hope he gets locked up. I hope this he has a little bit of an eye-opening experience where a cop actually yanks him out of his car and throws him in the back of a real one, just to get that taste of you gotta stop fucking with this stuff. You gotta stop being the try-hard wannabe. Stop being the pretend sheepdog because nobody likes that guy.
Not every Honda owner is an obnoxious 18-year-old. Not every Subaru owner vapes and wears a backwards cap. And not every Mustang owner crashes into crowds of people. Just like not every retired cop car owner is a police impersonator.
They are as soon as you throw lights and sirens in the car. I don't care. I don't care unless it is only used on private roads and private property. Yes, you are. Own up to it. Like, like, stop lying to yourself and saying, "Oh, it's not police impersonating." Yes, it is. Yes, 100% it is. You want to look like a cop. You get off on authority, and you want to look like a cop because you giggle as people, you know, think that you're gonna pull them over. And and I'm 100% guilty of this. I'm not gonna say that I'm not. That would be a lie. I'm 100% guilty of, and this would be literally me just driving normal, not even trying to act like a cop or anything. But people like not want to pass me in the left lane because I'm going the exact speed limit, or just doing like those kind of things where it's like people keep at thinking I'm a cop, but I'm not. I'm guilty of that, 100%. But I will never willingly mount up police equipment in my vehicle in terms of like emergency equipment. Like obviously I have the center console because I just wanted somewhere to actually rest my arm, and I have a spotlight also because I don't want to remove it. One, it looks cool. It's not illegal. Two, second, most importantly, if you remove it, it leaks. I don't want a leaky car. No, thank you. I'm not gonna go mount up emergency lights and sirens and go pull someone over. I'm not that guy. You should never be that guy. You're gonna go to jail.
And just like with any iconic car, retired
Like, look right there. Illegal, illegal. Like, this is fine. This is literally what my car looks like. Minus I have the actual hubcaps instead of the steel wheels. Or the little steel center cap, which honestly I think looks better in my opinion. Professional. Or like this. This is what my car looks like right here. It's just all it has is a spotlight. Other than that, it's a white car. It's a white grandpa's car, basically. Nothing special. And are you go to the back? Yeah. Do I have? I have the police interceptor badge. I'm not removing that. That came from the manufacturer, and you could technically say that's a police impersonation, but it would look really bad if I removed it. And two, that I don't think people are gonna get on that aspect. Because again, I'm not trying to bully people. Yes, I have this little antenna right here. That's actually in there for another reason. I'm not trying to actually impersonate again. I'm not trying to make people think I'm a cop. I'm actually hiding the old, the hole where the old antenna actually used to be. And it looks really crappy. We tried to do some touch up paint on it and try to make it look better, but overall, I'm covering it up. And eventually, I'm actually gonna mount a real antenna back here for real purposes. I'm gonna mount either a cell phone signal booster because my college and where I live are up in the mountains, and cell signal kind of sucks. So that'll get a little boost. Or I'm gonna mount an actual CB back in it again, just so I could talk with my buddies. Because we had a little plan to get all CB units in our cars at one point, just for fun. Not for police impersonation, just for fun. I know I'm kind of sounding like what you call it. I'm kind of sounding like I'm trying to justify all my stuff. I'm not, because I know I'm not illegal. There's a difference between what I have, which is at the most like harmless fun. I'm gonna get some bad, looks from some people, but I'm never gonna actually end up in handcuffs because, or at least for that aspect, I'm not gonna end up in handcuffs because uh, a cop actually thinks I'm impersonating. And if I do, I'm going to fight them over it. There's nothing illegal about anything else in the car. I think probably the prosecution would drop charges before it even hit the court, in my opinion. But for somebody like Mr. Regular, who he literally was having his lights run on the road, yeah, 100%. Next Jeremy DeWitt.
Hired cop cars have a place in the car community. And
Yes,
boy,
they do.
what a community it
Like these a little much, but that's probably what I'll have. And honestly, again, nothing wrong with it. They have a place in community. Just don't take it too far. Everything in moderation. That's a life principle, by the way. Everything in moderation.
is. You'll never be in a more humble, smart, caring, funny, and supportive group of people in your life. And I'm talking from experience.
No. You're gonna meet some of the biggest degenerates and losers. Everybody for buying these, with exceptions. I mean, there's exceptions to everything. Like, just look at this picture right here. Now, this is going off of looks. Sorry, I'm trying to do a little comedy here, but this guy looks like he failed out of the police academy because uh, he was not mentally fit for it. This guy looks like he couldn't pass a PT test for his life. This guy right here looks like he's a little bit on the cousin loving side, if you know what I mean. Again, I'm just poking fun. I don't know any of these actual people. Maybe they're actually pretty good people IRL, but I've met a lot of these types of people in the retired cop car community that are the wannabe sheepdog tryhard semi cops, and that's where I'm coming with this.
The cop car community is a tight knit one, man. Whether it's securing rare and hard to find parts for your car,
That's true. That is 100% true. This is with any car community though, of a particular of like older cars. Um, I have this with my third gen Camaro that I own, and my first car that's not my dad's, the Trans Am. Finding parts for those cars is a pain in the ass, but thanks to the community, thanks to the third gen forums and all those guys that we met on there, and I met several part sellers now. Great guys. I've worked with them a lot. They're actually just they've been so helpful in rebuilding our cars. 100%. 100%. That is a valid point.
or anything else that you just might need. Now, as for me, why does my Crown Vic look this way? Why am I constantly outfitting it with more old police equipment, lights, push bars, etc.?
It's because you want to look like a cop. Like right there. Illegal. 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 Fucking illegal. Illegal. No. Like, fine. Fine. Iffy, but fine. Fine. This is fine. But you take it too far, man. It's because you want to look like a cop. I'm really tired of this. Like, let's go
With
back to the
more
scene.
old police equipment, lights, push bars, etc.? Let me put it this way. A DeLorean without a flux capacitor is just a slow piece of sheet metal. An
This
old
is true.
H1 Hummer without a fake 50 cal gunner on top, painted any other color than desert tan, let's face it, it's just an overrated, underpowered Chevy Suburban.
This is true.
A Ford Falcon without a giant blower, massive tires, and side exhausts is just an overweight Mustang.
Sure.
And a Crown Victoria without antennas, lights, sirens, and push bar is just an old grandpa's car.
But you know what it's also is? Not a felony. Like, there's such a difference, man. I don't care. I don't care that you say, "Oh, it's just an old grandpa's car without the stuff," because it doesn't matter. You are a wannabe, try hard wannabe cop. Even if you were a cop, why? Why are you doing this? And why are you promoting this behavior? This is a problem, man. And people might go, well, what is this? It's just wannabe tryhards like Jeremy to win and whatnot. It's like, no, there's actual cases beyond that are far more serious for police impersonation. There was one, I can't remember when it was, but it was a group of impersonators that would pull over people just to harass them and financially extort them, like through fake fraudulent tickets. Hell, there's one that would pull over people and kill them. Hell, there's that whole episode on Southland in like I think the first or second season where a police impersonator with an old black retired Crown Vic with a police light on the dash pulls over women in their cars and rapes them. It's a serial rapist. Sure, these things aren't the most common, but it's enough to actually go, oh shit, yes, police impersonation is a serious crime. That's why it's a felony, because people don't understand. Regular people think cops are safe. They they see a police car, they see someone with a uniform and a badge. They think that's someone that they can go to. Now, maybe not so much these days, but for the most part, yes, they think that, oh, if I'm in trouble, I can go to that guy right there and he will protect me or he will help me. And in the end, they might actually harm them. It's not okay to promote this behavior. And honestly, again, that's why I say I kind of wish this guy would be locked up. Have him catch a felony. See what happens, you know?
You see, a police interceptor isn't just a gimmick or a cool, fancy name given to a regular car. It's a
Sometimes it is.
literal badge of honor.
Somewhat. Depends on the life of the service of the vehicle. Sometimes, honestly, it's just better to have the civilian model.
It's a clear distinction between a regular car and something special. And until you ever drive one or own one for yourself, please just try not to judge us too much.
Hi, I own one now. Am I credible enough to judge you now? Because guess what? Even before I owned my car, I still am 100% against this. No. Illegal. How many times do I have to say it? Please don't try to judge us too hard. I'm gonna 100% fucking judge you. Just like I did Jeremy DeWitt, just like I did every other impersonator. There is a difference between owning one of these old cars, maybe still having like the spotlight like I do and whatnot, and just having it as a good, reliable daily driver that you can have fun with. Maybe have playing some pranks with your friends on like a PA or something. And then there's them going and mounting up police lights and sirens, driving on the road and acting like a cop. You are a degenerate. You are scum for doing this. You are not cool. You are not an authority figure. Honestly, you really should not be promoting this. It makes me sick that you are. Because you are openly telling, how many views did this one get? 43,000. You have 121,000 subscribers. You're telling people that this is okay. You're saying, yeah, everybody, go mount up police lights in your cars. And then when the real police come and arrest them, you go, uh-oh, you're going to jail because you did a little oopsie doopsie. Mr. Random, you really, mm, you've made me rant today for an extended period of time about this stuff because it legitimately pisses me off. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm a cop or not, if I own one of these cars or not. Just stop it. Like, it's not hard. Don't be that guy. And that's how I'm going to end this video. Just a forewarning to anybody who buys one of these cars, whether it be a Crown Victoria, Dodge Charger, Ford Explorer, Chevy Tahoe, any of these. Don't do it. Do not mount up that police equipment in the car. And that being the lights and sirens. Don't be that guy. Unless it is a historical antique vehicle that nobody will ever question on the road that if it's a real cop or not. Don't do it. Don't be that guy. Because guess what? If you do, you are going to get caught. You are going to end up in prison. You are going to become a felon. You will ruin your life. Just like Mr. DeWitt ruined his. He's going to big boy jail now. Do you want to join it? Do you want to be the next Jeremy DeWitt? Because I'm betting the guys in prison are going to treat you just like the real cops will. Because they're going to go, oh, well, boy, you you wanted to be a cop. Well, guess what we do to cops in prison, boy? You're going to get that treatment from Bubba and his buddies. I'm really sorry for making this video so extended, but I think it's an important talking point. Police impersonation is a serious crime. Don't ruin it for the rest of us. Don't make the rest of us look bad. All because you want a power trip on a fantasy. That's all. I'll see you guys next time. In like a year or two, whenever I make a next video. Until then, toodaloo. See you around.